Hi, this is the fellow passenger, and in this video I'm going to talk about my new Max for Live device, the ParSec, which is a parameter sequencer. Just take this in for a moment. That was made by the operator and a bunch of effects and a whole load of these parsecs. If this sounds interesting, you better stay tuned because I'm going to talk about how it works and how you can get a copy. Let's just make a clean slate here. So we make a new MIDI track. I'm going to take the operator just as a demo piece. And then we need our parsec. This is a parameter sequencer, so you can create looping sequences for other things than just the melody. If you followed this channel for a while, you know that I'm using the expression control quite a lot to create random values, which is good in many, many cases. But I've been longing for doing something that can create a bit of repetition, but also with a bit of syncopation, so you can have different sequences with different lengths looping over one another. So I'm just going to start off just mapping this one to the second operator here. So just hear what that sounds like. Doesn't sound like anything because I haven't made a sequence. No idea what this is going to sound like. The sequence is actually not that important for this demo. You can see how this is now changing based on this sequence. So let's just talk through this. This is obviously the different values. So if I turn them all down, this one is going to be just at 0. The second line here is whether there is glide or not between the values. So if I turn them all off, we will get them to jump between values instead. You can see that in this scope here, which just illustrates what sort of wave is being output. So if I add a few of these back in, so you can see they got some slopes in there. You can change the glide time. It sets to 100 milliseconds by default, but yeah, you can set it up to a second or down to 0 if you want to. This part here, you can randomize the pattern. The second bit is obviously the mapping, so you just choose what parameter you want to map that to. There is if you just want to limit the values, you can set that even if this is max and minimum, you can say that the range that this is going to randomize between is it's going to be at least 25 in this case, or a maximum of 60. So you can see that one is now just moving that between that range. Now this thing that sets this sequencer apart from many others that I've seen. I don't want to claim that this is what I've done is unique, but it's something that I haven't stumbled upon before, and I think this is genuinely interesting. Rather than having like traditional sequencers, you choose the speed and the length of the sequence. Here you should choose the resolution and the length of the sequence. So let me just explain this duration bit, because I admit it's a bit confusing and strange, but it's okay. So this one is, the first one is bars. The second one is quarter notes. And the last one is, you can add an additional, if you want to have a 16th note at the end. So that's the duration. So I could actually set this to 0 and this to 1 instead. And that should be the same result. Let's start this. But then you can set the resolution. So no matter, this looks like I'm just adding lots of steps, but it's basically, if I set this to 4 again, it's still going to take only a bar to get from beginning to finish, but there is a lot more modulation happening in between there. So you can it's still going to be time with the music, but what happens within that time frame can sort of be out of sync if you want, or in sync, depending on how you set it up. Let's set these back to. So the max resolution is 64. So you could set this to be obviously, so now it's going to be, let's turn that down to 16 again. The lowest you can have is 2. So now it's going to take, if I set that to 5, it's going to be a bar plus 1 quarter note. So even though it's a looping sequence, it's not going to be exactly the same every time, because the sequence goes on for slightly longer than this 1 bar loop that I've made here. This becomes really powerful if you use lots of these to manipulate lots of different parameters, and therefore you can, this again, it's just turning the operator into a groovebox. We're going to look at an example how you can use this to make interesting melodies as well. But let's just copy these and we make a few different ones. So the second one, let's manipulate the time element, but we never want the time to be quite 0. So we turn that up a bit. We can randomize that. And maybe that one is running for 1 bar, whereas this one is running for a bit longer. Let's set this just to 1 voice so we don't get any overlap. We don't want this to be polyphonic. And if we turn on the pitch envelope, well, you can do whatever you want, but this is just... And then we can do another one of these parsecs. This can be maybe slightly lower resolution, and that can manipulate the end of the... And maybe we can do a little bit of... Let's make that quite a slow one and mostly off, but occasionally it sends a little bit of signal off to the reverb. Maybe that's a bit too slow. Just one more thing, just to show you applying this to effects. Then shortly we are going to do something more melodic as well, so you don't just have to make IDM groove boxes. I think this is quickly becoming a new favorite plugin of mine, and I think in many, not all, but in a lot of cases, this might be replacing what I would normally use an expression control for, just to create a little bit more continuity. And this random button is an interesting function if you're performing live, because you can change the nature of the loop. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting carried away. Let's just add an effect and then we can move on to do something more melodic. Let's do the new roar effect. Turn the compression up so we don't get everything just getting out of hand too much. Let's add another parsec to this. And modulate the amount of time. And we do another one which is a bit slower, and we modulate the time itself, and the other one is they need to be a lot slower, I think, these sequences. That's too slow probably. We can do that, and then another 8th note. This one can be 4 plus a half note, maybe. So I could probably just done 6. Let's do an 8th note. Randomize that a bit. Oh, gosh, I shouldn't have done that. So as you can see, it's interesting to sequence other things rather than just the melody itself. So now we are going to do that. No, we are going to do something a bit more melodic for good measure. Let's do another. Oh, we could actually take this new Meld thing. And we can use the another sequencer. We can use the step sequencer, which is one of the Ableton standard ones. Let's do a slightly slower one. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping. Let's use, no, not random, scale. We'll just pick a minor scale. Now we are ready for ParSec. Let's just find some interesting. I'm not yet that at home with the Meld, so you will have to bear with me because I don't quite know which ones are nice and how to make a nice sound. So I will be learning to here. Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong ParSec. That was the one that I made as a. Just forget about that one. I made it as an audio effect because it's interesting to sequence other things than just things on a MIDI channel. What have I just done? Have I turned the volume off on something? Oh, there we are. This is obviously running faster than the. Let's do something with the filter. So as you hear, you can quickly get some quite animated sounds out of fairly simple synths and stuff. And obviously, if you are using some interesting communication with MIDI, you can control your external synths with this as well. You will need another Max for Live device to send your MIDI CC. But I hope you found that interesting. And if you would like a copy of this, all you need to do is to sign up to my Patreon. It's only £4 a month, and you only commit to 1 month at a time. And you get this plugin plus loads of other plugins and everything else that I've uploaded in the past. Don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions, and I really do hope you will send me some things you have built and made and used ParSec in. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.